deals. And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here.
Barry Bonds, Major League Baseball's all-time home run leader. Mark McGwire, one of baseball's most feared hitters of the 2000s. Sammy Sosa, known for his emphatic home run celebrations and monstrous home runs. Jose Canseco, one of the most all-around players in baseball history. They were a part of baseball's steroid era. But one question comes to mind. Are these players worthy of being in baseball's Hall of Fame? What the true dilemma is a sociological problem. Players should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Throughout the past several years, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Roger Clemens have received up to 50% on the Hall of Fame ballots. Only 75% is needed to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Many people believe that these players contributed to the most exciting era of baseball in history, despite their questionable character choices. On the other hand, there are people who believe these players should be banned from ever getting inducted into the Hall of Fame.
The answer to that is no. I do not think they should be inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And for one reason and one reason only. They cheated. And cheaters shouldn't be rewarded. I understand that some players say, oh, I didn't know that it was illegal, I didn't know it was my diet, I didn't know they were giving this to me. You could also hear this thing like, oh, it helped me get healthier faster. I didn't know that's one of the reasons why I did it. Didn't know this thing was illegal, but I just wanted to get back on the field. That's your job as an athlete. But their name will always be soiled, and I think it should be that way.
According to SB Nation, some of the positive effects of steroids are twofold. Increased strength through increased bone and muscle mass, and increased stamina due to upping marrow/red blood count and oxygen flow. Some of the negative effects of steroids are very well known. That include liver damage, male breast, cholesterol, and lower testosterone. But they are not as immediately detrimental to performance as amphetamines. Amphetamines are an illegal performance-enhancing drug. This drug induces false feelings of strength and enhanced motivation. Amphetamines are also known as greenies. In an article in Sports Illustrated, Tony Gwynn, Hall of Famer, said, "Guys feel like steroids are cheating and greenies aren't." In a New York Times article, amphetamines, quote, have been around the game forever, end quote, the Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt writes in his new book. In my day, he says, they were widely available in major league clubhouses. So another question we have to ask is, are amphetamines on the same level as steroids? Should these players who use amphetamines be allowed into the Hall of Fame? Calling in now is Stephen Van Patella, Gordon College senior. Do you think that they should be in the Hall of Fame? Like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, they're receiving 50% of the vote the last couple years. What do you feel about that?
Well, that's a complicated question. There's a lot of points to be made on both sides. I think both sides certainly have valid arguments. But personally, I really think that steroid users should be allowed in the hall. It's hard to define when and where the steroid era, started and ended, specifically. So it's hard to, eliminate specific players based on the years they played in. I think that the steroid era honestly was good for baseball. It was never more popular than, in the late 90s when Sosa and McGwire were going for the home run record. You can see stats from the last, from the turn of the century till now, where home runs have fallen off, games get longer, and baseball, attention for baseball in America just seems kind of to have fallen off. It's getting outrated by the NBA and the NFL. So when you look at just the impact that players in that era had, not only on the game, stats wise, but just on the impact of baseball as a whole, as one of the big four sports, you're really underselling the impact that these guys had to not vote for them at all. Impact on the game is certainly something you have to take into account when you're doing something like voting for the Hall of Fame, because it's not just a raw numbers, vote. I mean, if we look at it that way, we could just say, guys who hit this many home runs or had this many strikeouts are automatically in, but impact does weigh in. So I think that's definitely something that has to be taken into account, and lots of guys had huge impacts on the game. Clemens, Sosa, and McGuire are the three biggest that come to mind. But the impact on the game was, beyond the numbers, and I think that's something that definitely has to be taken into account when voting for the Hall.
Joe Morgan, Hall of Fame second baseman, said in an open letter, "The more we Hall of Famers talk about this, and we talk about it a lot, we realize that we can no longer sit silent. Many of us have come to think that silence will be considered complicity, or that fans might think we are okay if the standards of election to the Hall of Fame are relaxed, at least relaxed enough for steroid users to enter and become members of the most sacred place in baseball. We don't want fans to ever think of that. We hope the day never comes when known steroid users are voted into the Hall of Fame. They cheated. Steroid users don't belong here." It's gone to the point where Hall of Famers are saying that if steroid users get in, they'll no longer come to Cooperstown for induction ceremonies or other events. Some feel they can't share the stage with players who did steroids. So on the phone we have Noah Salaji. We would like to know his stance on the steroid era players being potentially inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I definitely strongly believe that players that use performance-enhancing drugs, no matter who they are, whether it be Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, should not be inducted into the Hall of Fame, should not be Hall of Famers, simply based on the fact that, what they're doing is illegal. It affected their career in a way that other players weren't able to sort of have that similar upper hand. These are drugs that are scientifically proven to, increase, not only your strength but your endurance, and so you definitely run into problems with guys that are prolonging their playing days essentially through this kind of drug. And it's unfair to everybody who doesn't use them. You would never know how good somebody that didn't use them could be if they were using, steroids or performance-enhancing drugs. So to me, it's not very fair. And there are guys that sure may have had excellent and amazing careers even without the use of PEDs or steroids. But I think that's a heavy weight that the punishment will come with if this happens to become a rule in the future.
I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer in this situation. Personally, I do think that they should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Though I do not condone on their decisions, and their character might be somewhat skewed in terms of their moral decisions, but I do think they impacted the game in a way that was entertaining to the fans, and at the end of the day, baseball is a business. The Major League Baseball needs viewers, and Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens, Jose Canseco, they all did their part in that aspect. And for that, their impact of the game should be rewarded with a spot in Cooperstown.